Good morning, everyone. My name is Renuka. I'm from AML department. Today, I'm going to discuss the computer network subject in the OSI model. So, what is OSI model? So, OSI model stands for Open System Integration. So, it is an open system interconnection where it is the reference of OSI model or OSI reference model. So, where we are going to open stand the system. So it is a 7-layer architecture in which each layer having the specific functionality to perform the task. So all the 7 layers work collaboratively to transmit the data from one person to the another. So it across the globe. So OSI is the reference of model which is developed by the ISO, which is called as an international organization for standardization, in which 1984 year. So I repeat, the OSI stands for the Open System Interconnection, where it is a 7-layer architecture. In this, it is having the 7 layers. So in each layer, it is going to perform the specific functionality to perform the task. So all these layers work collaboratively to transmit the data from one person to the another to the global. So the OSI reference model has been developed through the ISO, which is called as an international organization for the standardization in the year of 1984. So OSI model provides the theoretical foundation for understanding the network communication. However, it is usually not directly implemented, whereas it is implemented in the real world networking. So where hardware or software has been involved. So instead of using the specific protocols, technologies are often designed. So they based on the principles, we are going to use the OSI model to facilitate or for efficient data transmission as well as the networking operations. So here we are having the OSI model. So there are the 7 layers. By using 7 layers, where the data communication has been done through this network. So this is called as a network communication. So which is usually developed as well as by using the network layers, we are going to transmit the data in a easy way, as well as the data transmission has been done in efficient way by using the networking operations. So coming to the OSI layer, we are having the 7 layers. That's why it is called as a 7-layer architecture. So what are they? Look at the 7 layers architecture. So it is divided into network architecture in which they are having the 7 layers. So which is from top to bottom, they are called as an application layer. Next, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. So these are the 7 layers, which is called as an 7-layer architecture. So this is an often referred as an OSI 7-layer model. So look at the picture of OSI model 7 layers. So first one is the application layer, next one presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, physical layer. So these are the 7 layers from top to bottom as well as the bottom to top: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. So these are the 7 layers where the data is transmitted. Data communication has been done between one layer to another layer by using the networking operations. So I repeat, what is once again OSI model? So OSI model, which is created in the 1984 by ISO. So where it is a framework which explains the processing of data transmitting between the computers, that it is divided into 7 layers that work together. So by using the network functions. So this is called as an OSI layer, where we are having the 7 layers. So just as we discussed about the 7 layers from top to bottom as well as the bottom to top. So same the process has been done between the sender as well as the receiver. So example, so client should be send the data to the receiver. So when it is sending the data from sender side, the data transmission has been sent to the 7 layers from the sender side, as well as the operation, whatever the data transmitted to the other part, that is receiver side, same the 7 layers has been applicated. So from the sender side, again the bottom to top, top to bottom, the layers has been working, as well as the receiver also, the 7 layers has been working. So look at the first layer. So look at the picture, how the host and media has been working. So these are the overview of the 7 layers. So first one is the physical layer, just overview. Physical layer, whatever the data has been transmitted, the data has been transmitted through the bits by using the media, signals, transmission medium. And next, data link layer. So data link layer, whatever the data has been transmitted, the bits has been transmitted to the data link layer. So data link layer transmit the bits into the form of the frames. So by using the MAC as well as the physical addressing. And next, network layer. So network layer, obviously networking concept should be involved. So network layer with the head of the network, path, logical addressing, IP address, everything should be involved. So whatever the frames has been transmitted, the transmitted of frames has been done by using the packets. So that is called the network layer. Next, coming to the transport layer where the data has been divided in the form of the segments by using the end-to-end connections. And next, session layer. So session layer where we are going to interhost the data. By using the session layer, we are going to communicate, and that data is transmitted to the presentation layer where the data has been presented, representation has been done by using the encryption concept. And next, whatever the data has been transported from the presentation layer, the networking application has been done. So whatever the data we got at last layer, then by using the process, we are going to do the application successfully in this way. So sender side, the data has been sent to the receiver side. Again, the process has been done from the receiver side. Again, the send, it is receiver side. Again, it replies back to the sender side. So in this way, the data has been floated from one layer to the another layer. Here we are having the media layers as well as the host layers. So these are the 3 layers, which is called the media layers, that is physical, data link, as well as the network layer. Coming to the host layers, whereas session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. And next, so this is overview of the layers where we are having the OSI layer and what type of internet protocols we are using and what are the activities of this layers. So first one, application layer. So in the application layer, what type of protocols we are using? So Telnet, FTP, SMTP, HTTP, DNS, NMSMB, specific address. These are the different types of protocols we are going to use in the application for file transferring, for sending the mails, for hosting the domain, everything we are using this type of protocols to develop the application layer, as well as it is used to access the network resources. And next, coming to the presentation layer. So presentation layer where we are having the presentation and where we are going to translate the encrypt as well as the compress the data. And next, session layer where we are doing the manage the data, establish the data, as well as the terminating the session. And next, transport layer. In this, we are having the protocols like STP, TCP, UDP, as well as sockets, ports, address. So these are the different types of protocols we are going to use in the transport layer. And next, it provides a reliable process to process where the message has been delivered, as well as the whatever we are having the errors, we can recover those errors also. And next, network layer. In the network layer, we are having the IP address, every ICMP, IGP, logical address. These are the different types of protocols where we are going to use in the network layer. And what is network layer? To move the packets from source to the destination, we are going to provide the internet networking concept. Next, data link layer. So data link layer, we are going to use the TR, FDDI, PP, physical addresses. So where we are going to organize the bits from the physical layer into the frames. So where we are going to provide the host to host delivery. So this comes with the data link layer. And next first one, that is physical layer. So where the physical layer is used to for the transmission medium, where we are going to use the transmission medium, where we are having the fiber cables, different types of cables, that is wide cable as well as the wireless cables. Here we are going to transmit the data by using the bits over a medium. Whatever we are sending the data through the cable connections. So through that cable connections, we are going to send the data by using the mechanical as well as electrical specifications. The first one, so this is the first layer, physical layer. Look at the picture, physical layer, how the data has been transferred by using the transmission medium. So here we are having the symbol of transmission medium and two different, one is sender side as well as the receiver side. So what is the upper layer? Data link layer. So first layer is a physical layer, whatever the data has been transmitted in the form of bits by using the transmission medium. So first I'm the sender, I'm going to send the data in the form of the bits by using the cable connection. So that is either wired connection or else wireless connection or else wireless connection. So it is called as a transmission medium. So through the cable, we are going to connect the data from one sender side as well as whatever the data has been transmitted in the form of bits, that is sending to the other side, that is receiver side. So obviously through the receiver side, same the data has been transmitted in the form of bits by using the transmission medium. And from the data upper link layer, so already we have seen top to bottom, from the application it comes the data. So what is the physical layer, upper layer? So that is called the data link layer. From the layer we are going to get the data, isn't it? As already said, sender side, receiver side, the process should be done. So from the sender side, the data link layer gives the data. It whatever the data has been done, so data has been transmitted in the form of bits. That bits are going to send the data to the other part, which is called as a physical layer. That is comes under the data link layer. Whatever the data has been transmitted, it is connected through the transmission medium. Okay, so that is called as a physical layer. So physical layer, what are the functions of the physical layer, we will see. So here we are having the which is also called as a lowest layer of the OSI model. Physical layer is also called as an OSI model. So it is responsible for the actual physical connections between the devices, where it is whatever the data has been transmitted, the data has been done in the form of bits. So it is responsible for the transmission of individual bits as well as from one node to the another node. When the receiving side also same data has been received, that means it should be done in the bits. So that bits are converted in the form of the zeros or else ones. So whatever the data we are going to send, first it is converted into the system language. So the system language is connected like this, zeros and ones, and send them to data link layer, so receiver side. So again it will put into the form of frame. Again it sends to the other side of the sender side. Okay. So suppose example 1100. Okay, this is the one port. Only zeros and ones we are going to send the bits, isn't it? The next functions of the physical layer. What are the functions of the physical layer we are having? Bit synchronizations, bit rate, topologies, physical topologies, what we are going to use. What are the transmission modems we are going to use? Okay, so this comes under the physical layer. So one of the major function of the physical layer is to move the data in the form of signals, but through the transmission medium. So here it is responsible for movements of individual bits from one host to the another. That is one host to the another. So both the data as well as the signals can either analog signals or else digital signals. By using this, we are going to transmit the data by using the transmission media. Next comes to the data link layer. So here the data link layer, where it is the host to host. So here we are going to sender side. From the network layer, it is going to receive the data, where we are going to connect the data bits into the form of frames, isn't it? So it is having one particular address, as well as MAC address, flow control, error control, accessing, everything. So as obviously it sends the data to the other part from the one layer to the sender to the others one. So here the data, whatever the frame, whatever the bits has been done, the bits has been transmitted in the form of the frames. So data link layer is responsible for node to node delivery of the message. The main function of this layer is to make sure the data transfer is error free from the one node to the another through the physical layer. When the packet arrives in the network layer, that is comes to the sender, I repeat, from the sender, right, we'll receive the packet in the network. Obviously, this packet is received to the frames as well as it goes to the physical layer in the bit. Again, it sends the sender side. It will receive the bits. It sends to the next layer frame. And it goes to the next network layer, that is packets. So whatever the data has been sent through the two sub layers, that is logical link layer as well as the media access layer. Through these sub layers, we are going to access the data, we are going to send the data. So packet received from the network layer, further it is divided into frames. So depending on the frame size is also important, and frame size. So that link layer also encapsulates the sender side as well as with the help of the MAC address, we are going to send the data through the other part, that is sender side. Okay. So what are the functions of the data link layer means? Framing, by which frames have been transmitted by using the physical address, flow control, error control, access control. So framing is a function of data link layer. It provides a way for sender to transmit the set of bits where it is a meaningful to the receiver. So this can be accomplished by attaching the special bit pattern from the beginning as well as the end of the frame. Coming to the physical layer where we are going to have the MAC address, and coming to the error control. So data link layer provides the mechanism of error control in which it detects and retransmits the damaged as well as the or lost frames. And next, flow control. So data rate must be constant on both sides. Either the data may be corrupted or else flow control coordinates to the other data, so that send whatever we are sending the data, we have to receive an acknowledgement also. And coming to the access control. So access control is nothing but when we have the single communication channel in a shared by multiple devices, the MAC sublayer of data link layer helps the devices which has control through the given time. Okay, so this is called the data link layer. So from the network layer, it is going to receive the packet. From the packet, it is going to divide into the form of frames. The frames has been forwarded to the physical layer in the form of bits. So this is one side, that is sender side. In the same way, the receiver side also does the process. Coming to next one, network layer. So network layer is nothing but source to the destination. So network layer where we are having the sender side, from transport layer to the network layer where we are having again logic address, whatever the data we are having, whatever the host we are having, packets, again it should be forwarded to the data link layer in the form of frames. So data link layer is responsible of delivering the individual packets from source to the destination, isn't it? From source, we are going to send the data from the packets in the form of packets from one host to the other located in the different networks. It also take caring of the packets routing, selection of the shortest path to transmit the packet. So it is called as a network layer. So sender side should have the IP address as well as the receiver side IP address are placed in the header of the network layer. So network layer is responsible for the delivering of the individual packets from host to the delivery destination of the host. Here we are having the functions of two types of functions we are using in the network layer. One is routing as well as the logical addressing. So first one is the routing, where the network layer protocols determines which route is suitable for this. First we have to select the route, isn't it? So that only we can send the data from the source to the destination. So that routing should be there. And next, logical address. So logical address, based on the addressing only, we can send the data in the form of packets to the destination. So to identify the each packet device, we are going to have the sender's IP address as well as the receiver IP address, which is placed in the header to the network layer. So this is called a network layer. Coming to the transport layer. The transport layer provides the services to the applications layer. So from the session layer, we are going to get the data where we are having the data in the form of segments. So the transport layer where the data has been divided to deliver the message from one process to the another process. So transport layer provides the services to the applications as well as takes the services from the network layer. So from the application, it is going to done to the transport layer. So it takes a process, whatever we are having, it takes the services from the application layer and takes the services from the network layer. Okay. So data in the transport layer is referred to the segments. So it is responsible for the end-to-end delivery where we have the complete message. So here we are having the transport layer, which is also provides the acknowledgement of successful data transmission, and it transmits the data if any error has been found. So obviously the sender side also, the data transport layer receives the formatted data from the upper layers and it performs the segmentation. Why? Because transport layer, the segments has been done. Whatever the data has been translated, it has been transferred in the form of segments. So it, by using the implementation of flow as error control, we are going to do the proper data transmission. So it also adds the source as well as the destination port numbers. With the help of the port numbers, with the help of the IP address, so source destination, we are going to transfer the data. So here we are having the some functions for the data transport layer. So what are the functions here we are having? Like segmentation and reassemble, as well as the service point addressing. So segmentation and reassemble, where we are having the accepting of the messages from the session layer, that is from the upper layer of the transport layer, and it breaks the message into the smaller units. So that comes under the segments. So each segment provides its header. Okay, whatever we are getting the information from the sender, that from the sender, that is from the session layer. So data has been sent from the session layer. The message has been split into the smaller units. Okay, each segment will have one header. So it should have from IP address. Okay, so that, and it should send the data to the other destination point also in the form of the message. And next, coming to the service point addressing. So service points addressing, which is having the port address, whereas segmentation and reassemble, we should have the sequence number. So service point addressing is to deliver the message to correct the process, whereas transport layer header includes the type of address which is called as a service point address or as port address. So this is called as a service point address. And next, obviously, we should have the flow control, which is end-to-end system, whereas error control, process to process, and connection control, which is connectionless or else connection oriented services also we are going to provide to the transport layer. So connectionless, connection oriented service. So where we are going to have the connection establishment as well as data transfer. We can transmit the data or else we can disconnect the data. So that are the services we are having in the connection oriented. Whereas connectionless service, it is one phase process where it includes the data transfer. In this step, transmission of the receiver does not accept the acknowledgement. Okay, so this approach allows the more faster communication between the devices, so which is also more reliable than the connectionless. Connection oriented service is more reliable than the connectionless services. Coming to the session layer. So next one, session layer. So obviously, what is a session layer? Upper layer, presentation layer. So presentation layer, where we are having the data transmitted to the presentation layer. From the presentation layer, it goes to the session layer. So session layer, where we are having this layer is just responsible for the establishment of connections, where it should establish the connection properly. So connection should be there, it should maintain, where the session should be done, as well as authentication should be done properly. Okay, so synchronization is done. In this way, the data has been sent to the session layers. So total presentation is just for the connection maintenance, as well as the what are the authentications. And next we are having the functions of this layer also. What are the functions we are having? Like session establishment, maintenance, termination. So this layer will allow the process to establish, use, terminate the connections. And whereas synchronization, so synchronization will help the process of checking the points that are synchronized point in the data. So where it helps the, as well as to identify the errors, as well as to resynchronize the properly. And this end the messages are not to done, as well as the data loss is also avoided. And coming to the next layer, presentation layer. So this is the presentation layer where it is a totally dependency. So this is the layer 6 layer. So presentation layer is called as a translation layer, where the data from the presentation application layer is extracted here and it is manipulated as per required format, as well as it translate, as well as transmit the through the net. Okay, so I repeat the presentation layer, it is translation layer. Why? Because it is a translation layer. Whatever the information, whatever the data we are getting from the application layer, here we are going to extract here, as well as we are going to manipulate, compress, encryption, everything has been done in the presentation layer according to our requirements. And through the network, it is going to transmit to the other part. So that is the just presentation layer. So here also we are having the functions of the presentation layer. So what are the functions of the presentation layer? Translation, where we are doing mostly translation part, compression, encryption, or decryption. So translation, whatever we are having, the data that should be translated in the system code, isn't it? It should generate whatever we are giving the information, it should translate in the system code. So the system should understand the language, ASCII, like in this way it should translate the data. So next, encryption or else description. So data encryption, translate the data in the other form or else code, that is data, whatever the encrypted data is called as a ciphertext, as well as decrypted data is called as a plain text. So this type of data should be encrypted as well as the decrypted. And next, compression, data should be compressed. So the reduces of the number of bits, it should be transmitted to the network layer. So while we are sending the data through the network, obviously the data should be compressed. So this should be reduces the number of bits, so that it should be, the system should be, not get hanged. So this is called the compression. And next, presentation layer. After completion of application layer, sorry, presentation layer, next application layer. So this is the user level service where we are going to develop the last two. So this is the last layer which is providing the responsible for the services to the user. So whatever we are getting from the sender side, at last we are going to receive the receiver side. So all layer has been presented something or something else, isn't it? So here application layer. So this is the top model of the OSL reference model. So here implemented by the network applications. So different applications will provide the data which are transmitted over to the network. Okay. So this application is totally responsible for the providing the services to the user. So in this way, we are going to develop user side where the program has been developed. So different applications we know. In the different types of applications, the data has been transmitted. So in this type, we are going to send the data to the other part, that is receiver side. So here also we are having some functions. Mainly what type of functions we are going to use, like services, mail services, which produces the email service, whereas directory services, which produces the database sources, as which can access the global information where objects as services has been done. And we are having network virtual terminal. It allows the user to log as well as remote host. So where we can use file transferring, accessing management protocol also by using the file transfers, whereas in the remote host, as well as it retrieves the files in the remote host, as well as manage or control the files from the remote computer. So this all the application layer which sends the presentation layer to next layer to physical layer. Again from the physical layer it sends to the other part. So this is the application layer. So where the application layer, whatever the application has been developed, it should send to the presentation layer. Next it should send to the presentation layer to the session layer, from the session layer to the network layer, from the network layer to the data link layer, from the data link layer to the physical layer. So from the physical layer of sender side, it sends the data to the receiver side. From the receiver side, it again, the physical layer transferred the bits to the next layer, the data link layer. The frames has been translated to the network layer to the form of the packets. Again, the session layer. So again, the session layer, we are having the next presentation layer, again application layer. So in this way, the application layer works from the sender side as well as the receiver side. So whatever, by using the networking operations, we are going to develop this concept. Thank you.